Hi, my name is Maria. I acknowledge and pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the lands that I am presenting from. I will be discussing how Facebook has impacted journalism. I am going to focus on three main points. 1. Facebook's use of algorithms impacts democracy and freedom. 2. I will examine how Facebook has burdened readers with a greater responsibility for evaluating content and author credibility. And 3. I will highlight how Facebook's self-regulation of news content by the Australian Code of Practice on Disinformation and Misinformation, the ACPDM, is ineffective due to a lack of data transparency. These are important human rights issues. 1/4 of Australians report social media as their main source of news consumption, and Facebook is their top social network system. I will conclude with a question for the audience. Algorithms impact democratic freedom. This happens because of echo chambers or silos. Rather than people being exposed to a widened perspective of ideas, algorithms prioritise other features like emotive response generation to increase shares. Further complicating this is the fact that the company Meta, which owns Facebook, do not make their algorithms in their thousands public. This leads me to ask, how do you feel about somebody else taking away your selection power? Think about the impacts of this on your behaviours, perceptions and decision making when you are stuck in a vacuum. This contrasts with traditional journalism, which has strict ethical codes. I also ask you to consider, what is the state of your algorithmic literacy skills? Whether you are born digital native or not, digital literacy skills, including how to analyse sources for information credibility and authority, need to be developed. In contrast to traditional journalism, the burden for analysing content and author credibility is high on Facebook. The example of Pope Francis's false endorsement of Donald Trump's presidency, shared nearly 1 million times, highlights the rapid spread of disinformation and fake news. Original sources posted on Facebook are often not disclosed. Combining this with the decreasing attention span of people regularly using Facebook is a further reduction in motivation to analyse news content, even though methods such as crap exist. Not poop, but the method. This can have serious implications, as the content people read on Facebook can influence their health, security and pivotal life and death decisions. This contrasts with the journalism profession, which follows a strict code of ethics, commitments and professional training. Facebook is a voluntary signatory of the ACPDM, which stands for the Australian Code of Practice on Disinformation and Misinformation. This includes objectives aimed at implementing information safeguards, empowering people to make better content choices and strengthening public understanding. Facebook's annual reports, however, lack the data transparency to effectively evaluate if and how they are addressing these objectives. Australian digital risk companies like Reset Tech Australia have pointed out Facebook's misleading statements, incomplete data, mislabeling of content and lack of transparency. Facebook's own journalists, hired to fact check, have also complained about Meta ignoring their concerns and expertise. This includes Meta's use of vague warning labels to identify disinformation. Journalists adhere to strict ethical codes of news content, bringing authenticity and credibility to news. Considering these 3 points and the fact that Facebook's genuine power and advantages are not being used to promote credible information, I pose a question for you to consider. Is the resurgence of regional newspapers a possible solution for bringing back credible content and widen opinions and perspectives via journalist-bound ethical standards? Thanks everyone for listening.